welcome back to the Bird Season Podcast. I'm your host, Frank, and the first game, we won. So clearly the first game was against the Detroit Lions. We won 38-35. It was a close game. And I'm not gonna lie here. I expected a pretty close game because I feel like personally, before I start going into statistics and things like that, because the point of this podcast is just me talking about the Eagles and things like that, and just recapping the game and kind of going into details of how I feel about the Eagles and things like that, and the projection and what I feel is going to happen with the Eagles during the duration of the season. And this doesn't scare me. This game didn't scare me at all. I feel like the Detroit Lions at the end of last year, they were just picking up. They were gelling, they were putting everything together, and they started playing actually close and good football games. So this isn't a surprise. They basically picked up where they left off last season. So whoever sits there and thinks that, the Eagles should have, blew out the Lions, that wasn't in my mindset at all. That isn't what I expected. I expected a close game. I didn't expect it to be this close per se. I was expecting, probably like if it would have stood in the 38 realm, I would have thought 38, 28, something like that, in that realm. Excuse me. Just because, to be honest with you, like I said, I feel like the Detroit Lions really gotten better. And now you have Jared Goff that's already been there for a year, and he's getting used to the offensive scheme and everything like that. And I think Dan Campbell as a coach, himself is really, really good. He's very, he went into the Detroit Lions team that was really, really bad. Last year they didn't do great, but they were in a lot of games, and that means a lot. And then going into this year, I said, okay, yeah, they're going to be way better than last year. And that proves to be the case if you ask me. Like, they proved something against the Eagles. Like, they proved that they're here to play, that they're going to go ahead and fight every single game, because let's be realistic, the Eagles are stacked both on offense and defense, and a lot of people would have assumed that it would have been a blowout. Me going into this game, I knew it wasn't going to be a blowout, but it was definitely one of those things where this is actually closer than what I expected, and that just speaks more about, I think, the Lions than the Eagles, because this is our expectations. Our expectations going into the season is to beat, the not good teams or the average teams, and really fight to win on, playing the better teams. So, this showcases a lot about the Lions themselves, you know what I mean? But enough with that. It is an Eagles podcast, so I do want to talk about the Eagles. I'm just going to go through some stats statistically on the Eagles end, because I do want to talk about our offense and a little bit about our defense and what I personally think, because there's some good, there's some bad, and there's some ugly, and I want to get into it all, because I did speak about Josh Allen on my YouTube channel, which is a YouTube channel. It has nothing to do with the Eagles. It's just football in general, which I'll probably just put the link in the description so you guys can check it out as well if you're into just football and not just the Eagles stuff. So there I talk about Josh Allen, and I have the same feeling towards our quarterback, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. So just looking at some stats, he had Jalen Hurts. He completed 18 of 32 passing for 243 yards, 7.6 average. No touchdowns, no interceptions. He did take, I think, 4 sacks. 4 sacks with a quarterback rating of 64.3. 64.3. Okay. Now, rushing, Miles Sanders, 13 carries for 96 yards for 7.4 yards per carry. 1 touchdown, 24 being his longest. Jalen Hurts, 17 carries, 90 yards, 5.3 yards per carry. 1 touchdown, 16 being the longest. Kenneth Gainwell, 5 for 20, 4 average, 1 touchdown, 7 longest. Boston Scott, 4 carries, 10 yards, 2.5 average, 1 touchdown, 8 longest. Now, when we go to the receiving part of it, man, it feels good to have A.J. Brown. That's all I got to say. We have a legitimate number 1 receiver, like a legitimate. And that's not to throw any shade to Devontae Smith, because Devontae Smith, even though he wasn't looked at as much in this game, or he didn't do much in this game, I still feel like he's a really good player. I don't see him being a number 1. I see him being a number 2, possible number 1, depending on the situation, which last year he was our number 1. But we have a legitimate number 1 in A.J. Brown and a legitimate number 2 in Devontae Smith. So this game kind of showcases the chemistry that A.J. Brown and Jalen Hurts has. And it's really amazing. And it makes me feel good about the direction that our offense is going to end up going. So A.J. Brown had 10 receptions on 13 targets for 155 yards, 15.5 average, with the longest being 54 yards. Dallas Goedert had 3 receptions for 60 yards, average of 20, longest 27th on 4 targets. Then you have Kenneth Gainwell, 2 receptions, 4 targets, 12 yards. You have Miles Sanders, 2 for 2, 9 yards. Zach Pascal had 1 for 1 target for 7 yards. Noah Togiel, he only had 1 target, didn't do anything. Devontae Smith, 4 targets, didn't do anything. But just before we go even into the defense, because we can talk defense once we get to defense. We're going to talk about offense, at least at this moment. I definitely got some time. So one thing I want to sit here and say about the offense looked good. They look good, but it boils down to what I was saying, I think, in the last episode, and what I've been saying in general about Jalen Hurts. He has to be able to pass. And everybody's going to sit there and probably tell me, like, Frank, look, he threw for 243 yards. There's no touchdowns. Yeah, there's no interceptions, which is good, but there's no touchdowns. All the touchdowns came in the run. And don't get me wrong, you do want a running game in general, especially with a running quarterback like Jalen Hurts. You want a running game. But the issue is this. A quarterback is meant to pass. Yeah, you have the yards and all that stuff. But when we're looking at it's 64.3 completion percentage and 80.6 quarterback rating. I just queued that and I had to look at it again and realize it. So 18 of 32 made it 64.3% completion percentage. And let me sit here and say this, though it's over 50, which is cool and everything like that, the fact that you couldn't get it into the end zone is kind of alarming. And the bigger fact is this. You ran more than any running back on the team. Literally. So if we're looking at it, 9... So 24. So 24 carries were from running backs, while 17 was from Jalen Hurts. They surpassed Jalen Hurts rushing by a slight. Jalen Hurts basically ran, if you really think about it, and this is just rough, slightly under 50% of the run game. He was effective about slightly less than 50% of the rushing game, which everybody's going to be like, yeah, but that's what you want if you have a running quarterback or whatever the case may be. No, it isn't what you want. The same thing that I said about Josh Allen, except in this case, Josh Allen is the better passer in my opinion. But the thing is, if we can't rely on Jalen Hurts in the passing game to make big plays, and don't get me wrong, like, Yeah, he threw it to A.J. Brown. He looked at A.J. Brown 13 times and he caught it for 10. But I'm looking at all the other targets with 4, 4, 2, 1, 1, 4. Let me sit here and say this. If you're looking directly to one specific player, and this is only week 1, if other teams acknowledge that you're going to be looking at A.J. Brown 9 out of 10 times, they're going to start double teaming. They're going to start making sure that they take away A.J. Brown. And if you're not comfortable spreading the ball around, and, sharing and showcasing that, hey, you are capable of not just throwing it to one person. And don't get me wrong. Yeah, you're stacking up stats, but this is a game of chess. This isn't a game of checkers. You get what I'm saying? So this is how I feel about the whole entire situation. Yes. Did we win? Yes. 38-35. Is there room for improvement? Yes. Should Jalen Hurts be running the ball 17 times per game? No. It should not happen. He's a quarterback. And don't get me wrong, I think it was Josh Allen ran 10 times, and I still 10, 11 times, which I still feel like that was a lot. But compared to 17, let me tell you something. I'd rather have Jalen Hurts run 10 times a game than 17, because you're putting your quarterback, and I was seeing a lot of the slides that he was having and the late hits, and they only called the one. They only literally called the one, but there was a few of them where they could have called it. They could have, but they're not going to call it. The same issue that happened with Cam Newton when Cam Newton was in the league and he was in Carolina, that he was sliding. He had to fight with the referees to be calling those late hits, but they didn't want to call it because he was a running quarterback first. And this is what's going to happen with Jalen Hurts. We cannot continue to have Jalen Hurts run the ball 17, even possibly 20, because if we're looking at 17 times, I wouldn't be surprised if Nick Sirianni decides to, run them 20 times, depending on the situation and depending on the game. But that puts your quarterback at a higher risk of injury, and we don't need that. Yes, I can continue and go back and say, yes, we have Gardner Minshew as our backup. And yes, he's a proven quarterback in the league. And yes, he didn't win that many in Jacksonville, but then Jacksonville was trash. You know what I'm saying? He has more weapons on our end than what he had over there in Jacksonville. So I'm pretty sure that he can win more games, but that's not the point. The point is Jalen Hurts is our starting quarterback. And if he's our starting quarterback, we have to take care of him as our starting quarterback. He can't continue to get hit the way he has. And let me make this clear. The fact that they only called one call when he slid, that shows me that even when he slides, if it's a slightly late hit or whatever the case may be, they're not going to call that flag consistently. And that's going to be bad for us. That's going to be bad because they're getting free hits on the quarterback. Basically, Jalen Hurts is going to be more likely to get injured. And with the opposite team having no repercussions, it's one of those things where I'm thinking about it and I'm saying 17, no way. That should not have happened. You have Miles Sanders with only 13 less than Jalen Hurts, and he was averaging 7.4, and yes, Miles Sanders has proven to be kind of injury prone in the past. And yes, we've been there before. And yes, we've seen where he's balling out and then he gets hurt and all this. But the thing is, you have 3 running backs. You have a 3 running back system. It shouldn't be Miles Sanders 13, Kenneth Gainwell, 5, and Boston Scott 4, and then Jalen Hurts, who's our quarterback, 17 times. That should not be the case. Everybody's going to be like, oh yeah, but we won. Listen, I don't give a dang if we won. Because at the end of the day, if this is how we're going to play, and if this is any indication of how the season may continue on, it doesn't look good. It doesn't. And I'm going to tell you why. Because though we dominated when we needed to dominate, the truth of the matter is that Jalen Hurts in the very beginning, in the first quarter, he was off. He was off. As a matter of fact, in one of the passes that he threw to A.J. Brown, it was underthrown. And he had more than enough space in the pocket to make that throw even better. But he underthrew him. And thank God that A.J. Brown was able to catch it. Because to be honest with you, it almost hit the ground before he can even put his hands on it. And that shows me that Jalen Hurts has to grow as a passer. And one thing we all know, and this is the truth, because there's plenty of quarterbacks that we can go into the Matt Flynn, where he showed up, and I think it was the year before he was a free agent that he ended up getting signed by Seattle, if I'm not mistaken. He blew up because he came in for Aaron Rodgers because they were already winning, and he lit up the scoreboard. You get what I'm saying? Statistics aren't everything. And, I'm a fantasy football person too. I have a fantasy football team. And Jalen Hurts, for fantasy, you're going to get points because, look, 243 passing yards, 17 carries, 90 yards, rushing touchdown, all this stuff. Yes, but fantasy is a game. It's a game that means almost little to nothing. You know what I mean? Unless you want bragging rights within the game. You get what I'm saying? But here, if we're thinking about winning football games as a team and going to the Super Bowl, this has to change. And that's just my personal opinion. You cannot just target A.J. Brown 13 times and not really target the rest of the team. Like, Devontae Smith should have had more looks than just 4 targets. Dallas Goedert himself, you can tell that this man deserves to be looked at more than 4 times. More than 4 times. 3 receptions for 60 yards. This man, when he has the ball in his hands, this man likes running people over, is very physical, and loves to rack yards. That's the truth. But then again, we passed it to A.J. Brown. I'm hoping it was just today. I'm hoping that it was just that they wanted to showcase A.J. Brown as an Eagle and showcase the things that we can do with him before we start playing other teams, so they can be aware of the versatility that we have with him. Hopefully that's the case, and we're not going to be targeting him 13 to 20 times a game and targeting Dallas Goedert and Devontae Smith and all these other weapons that we have 4 to 6 times, because that's going to make every team adjust to literally A.J. Brown. That's the truth. That's just the truth. You don't want A.J. Brown just taking all the attention, because you want other teams to know, hey, yeah, we have A.J. Brown. We can have him receive 100 yards, but we also have Devontae Smith, or we also have Dallas Goedert that's going to rack up another 100 yards too. So you better not be double teaming. That's what we want to do. That's what I hope we do. But it's only the first week. I'm being critical. That's just who I am, because I feel like there's room to grow. But I'm happy that we did what we did and we came out victorious. That's the biggest thing, because now in the NFC East, there's a 3-way tie, and Dallas in last place, Giants won the Titans, and Washington beat the Jaguars. So it's 3-way tie. This is a good win for us. We needed this, but at the same time, offensively, I'm hoping that they don't do what they did last year, where they made adjustments kind of towards the middle of the season. Because remember, they didn't rush as much until almost the middle of the season, where they adjusted it and started rushing more. They can rush as much as they want. I just want them to take care of our quarterback and see our quarterback sit in that pocket and complete some real passes and be able to spread the ball. That's all I care about, because that's going to help us get to the next level as a team and go far into the playoffs. Now, defensively, we allowed 35 points. There was good, bad, ugly. I'm not going to sit here and lie. It was really, really nice. We only had 1 sack, with Fletcher Cox contributing to half of it and Brandon Graham the other half. You had this guy, what's his name? James Bradbury with the pick-6, which was phenomenal, and it was off of Kaiser White deflection. which was phenomenal. And Marcus Epps, he was balling out. Marcus Epps looks good, surprisingly, really, really good. CJ Gardner-Johnson, he looks well, but clearly we just picked him up, so I'm pretty sure that it's going to take some time for him to mesh with the defense. Kaiser White looked well. To be honest, everybody that we brought in on defense has already looked to help us and looks good. And I'm not mad. To be honest with you, I'm actually happy with the defense, even though we allowed 35 points. The running defense, though, with, oh my God, what's his name? DeAndre Swift running all over us. He ran for 144 yards on 15 carries on us. That's unacceptable. But like I said, I know that with the defense, you got new parts. Definitely, I think that there's a gelling period. I'll just sit here and say this. We cannot allow gains like that and expect to win against top-tier talent, against top-tier offenses. That is not going to work. That is not going to work at all. Passing defense, it looks good, but then again, last year I think we were one of the top passing defenses, if I'm not mistaken, or best rushing defense, I forgot. But the point is, we can't allow people to run all over us. That's not going to work. I feel like this is the first game that the defense is going to play in gelling together and working together. And I feel like they're just going to grow, which is going to be beneficial for us because I feel like we have all the key parts. We have a lot of key players. And once again, I'm going to sit here and say this. I'm not going to dock anything from Detroit because Detroit, like I said, they ended last season rolling and, playing close games and winning some close games. And they picked up where they left off last year. So I'm not surprised that they scored 35. But as an Eagles fan and as a person that understands that, hey, we made all these moves for a reason, I just feel like we have to tighten up, especially on the defensive side. The offense can have its flaws, and Jalen Hurts can run 20 times. I don't care, even though I do care. But, at this point, it's one of those things where I still believe I have that old school mindset that defense wins championships. And I feel like even last year, there were times where our offense didn't show up and we needed our defense to show up. And I feel like we have all the key parts and pieces that we need on defense in order for us to take it to another level and help our offense even more than what we did last year. So I feel like it's a feeling out process, especially, having a few people coming in late like CJ Gardner-Johnson. He came in literally at the last minute. So I'm pretty sure he's still getting a feel for it. But the person that I'm probably most excited about, there's two people that I'm really, really excited about this year on defense, and that's Marcus Epps and Kaiser White, because Marcus Epps looked really, really good, and he was fast, and he looked good. He has really good instinct. And Kaiser White, I don't remember the last time we had a really good linebacker. So to be honest with you, Kaiser White, having him in is really going to be good. So I'm just hoping that defensively next week, that when we play, when we play, I hope that we're in a better position defensively to not allow as many passes, as many rushing yards. Because next week, to be honest with you, we're playing the Vikings. We're playing the Vikings, and that's on my birthday. Yes, my birthday is on the 19th. We're playing the Vikings, and to be very, very honest, the Vikings just won too, and they won in style. I think they played Green Bay. They played Green Bay and just destroyed Green Bay. They made Green Bay look silly, and everybody was talking about, Aaron Rodgers going back to back and, having Devontae Adams leave, it meant nothing and all that stuff. So I don't know. I think if we're going to beat, Minnesota, we're definitely going to have to clean it up on defense. And offense, I want Jalen Hurts to just pass the ball more. I want him to showcase his ability to be a passer, not a running quarterback, because a running quarterback doesn't mean that they can't throw the ball. It just means that they prefer to run over throwing the ball. I want him to show that he is a quarterback, all in all. And a lot of people are going to try to chew me out about it and tell me, hey, you know what? He did well. Give him credit where credit is due. I'm going to give him credit. But like I said, at the end of the day, stats are just one thing. Stats are one thing. You know what I mean? And I feel like this is the year that he has to prove to not only us as fans, but the Eagle organization itself, that this man, when it matters the most, he can sit in that pocket and be accurate consistently, game in and game out. And also when it matters most. That's what I want to see. And that's what I didn't see. He needs to be able to facilitate and throw the ball around. He needs to be able to sit in that pocket and be accurate. Not underthrowing, not overthrowing. He needs to do that. And showcase that he can do it every game, in and out, and when it matters the most. But those are my thoughts. And to be honest, I'm excited for next week's game. I'm ready for it. I'm looking forward to 2-0 and, actually just moving forward and showing the NFL that the Eagles are here and we're here to win right now. With all that being said, thanks for tuning in to the Bird Season Podcast. I'm your host, Frank. Until next time.